The first thing I'm going to do for this image is to remove the blemishes, and I like using focus separation to remove my blemishes. So I'll come to my action, and by the way, if you don't have this my action, I'll be leaving a link where you can get it for free in the shop below. As I come to my action, I'm going to click on Teelens focus separation 16-bit because this image is 16-bit, and if your image is 8-bit, click on Teelens focus separation 8-bit right here. Let me just show you how I set my image to 16-bit. Let's start from the beginning. So I'll come back to Capture One and show you how I process my raw file inside of Capture One for taking inside of Photoshop. Alright, I'm going to reset what I did. Now the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to crop this image 4x5 so I can fit perfectly for Instagram. So I'll go to my crop tool up here and just click on this drop down icon and just choose 4x5 right here. Okay, now just make it the way you want. So let this work for me, and I'm going to click on OK. Alright, now next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to scroll all the way down to my levels and just move this highlights part inside a little bit like this. And the reason why this place is red right here is because my exposure one is on. Now, as long as it's not affecting the skin or the face, it doesn't matter if it's showing on this drill right here, it's okay for me. So I'm going to come to this shadow area and just move this part inside a little bit like so. And this works for me. Now next time I'm going to do, I'll come to my high dynamic range and just take down the highlights a bit even more. And come to my exposure and just open up the exposure a little bit like this. Alright, so like this works for me. Now I think this is all I'm going to do inside Capture One. So this is the before and this is the after. The before and the after. And for me, I'm just going to open this image as 16-bit inside of Photoshop. So all I have to do is come to the image, just right click, and click on Edit With, click on Adobe Photoshop. So from here, you can actually change your image to 8-bit or 16-bit if you want. So just click on this 16-bit right here or 8-bit and change this to any one you want. So I like using 16-bit. But if you don't have a file system, I recommend you use 8-bit. It's worked perfectly. So from here, all I have to do is click on Edit Variants, and this image is going to open inside of Photoshop for me, and we can do our scale retouching. Now once the image opens inside of Photoshop, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate my layer by pressing on Ctrl J. And after you install the action, come to your Windows, click on Action right here. I'm just going to show. Now I click on Teelens focus separation 16-bit because this image is 16-bit, and I'm going to use a blur radius of 15. And remember, I want to remove the blemishes. And for the blur radius, if you want to retain more texture on your image, use a high blur radius, so that's why I use 15. While if you want your image to be smooth, use a lower blur radius like about 7 or 6, and your image is going to smooth, and you're just going to remove texture from your image. So it depends on what you want. Just play with the radius and see what works for you. Alright, so 15 works for me for this image. So to remove the blemishes, I'm just going to zoom in and come to this high frequency copy layer, which is this first one right here. Okay, once this layer right here is selected, I'll pick my close stamp tool. So this is my close stamp tool right here. I'm just going to zoom in and just press alternate to sample and increase and decrease my brush size according to the blemishes which I want to remove. Now since I want to remove these blemishes right here, I'm just going to make my brush size fit to that blemishes. Now to increase and decrease your brush size, just use your square bracket key and just press alternate if you're using the Windows, and option if you're using a Mac. Sample from a close by area and just paint it over the blemishes you want to remove. As you can see, that blemish is no longer there. See the before and the after, just like that. Sample from a close by area and just paint it over the blemishes you want to remove. So I'm going to take my time to actually break down this process. So just sample and just paint over the blemishes you want to remove, just like that. And just a quick tip, if you are doing this, just make sure you are actually taking your time to actually do this process. It's very, very, very important. Just take your time to do it. Alright, so I'm just going to do this for the whole of the image. So I'm just sampling from a close by area and just brushing over the blemishes just to remove them. Alright, so this is how I remove my blemishes for all my images. This is the method I use, and you can use this method and get the same result. Alright, I still use the close stamp tool to fix this place just a little bit, but I'm still going to use mixer brush tool to mix it even more. So see the before and the after. Alright, so that's for the close stamp tool. Now also, I'm going to zoom in. I just want to quickly explain something. Pay close attention. You can see these blemishes right here. If I try to just remove it, it's going to make that particular place look flat, and we don't actually want it to look flat like this. So let me just undo that. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to my opacity and take the opacity of my close stamp tool to about 50%. And right now, once I brush, instead of removing it totally, you're just going to remove those blemishes right there by 50%. So you still have textures, and the textures are not too pronounced. So you're just going to make everything look good. So I just quickly want to explain that. After that, I'm just going to run on that focus separation again and use the same blur radius. So I'll come back to my action again, click on focus separation 16-bit and use the blur radius of 15 and click on OK. Now for this focus separation, I want to use the mixer brush tool to actually smooth out the skin. I know you are wondering why I did not do it on this first focus separation right here. Now the reason why I did not do it on this first one right here is so that if I feel the image is too smooth, I can actually reduce the opacity, and it's not going to affect the textures. It's just going to affect only the color. Alright, now to use the mixer brush tool to smooth out this image, I'm not going to hide my action again. Now with this brush shade layer selected, just come to your toolbar and select your mixer brush tool. And for the mixer brush tool, make sure your clean brush after each stroke is selected, and make sure your weight is on 30, your load is on 20, your mix is on 90. Mix doesn't really matter. Flow is on 30, and this place right here is set to 10%, and sample all layer is selected because you are brushing on an empty layer. Now the reason why I like brushing on this empty layer is so that if I make any mistake, I can actually go back and erase the mistake instead of deleting the whole focus separation and starting all over again. That's why I like working on this brush layer, which is an empty layer. Now with that being said, I'm just going to hide this high texture layer right here. So once I hide it, it's just going to remain only the colors on the image. So the texture are no longer visible on this image, just the color. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to brush on the colors for this image. Now if you are brushing, make sure you are brushing the highlights separately. Let me quickly show you. Make sure you are brushing the highlights separately. Make sure you are brushing the shadows separately. So if I want to brush this highlight right here, let me just pick my normal brush tool. If I want to brush this highlight right here, I'm going to brush it separately from this shadow right here. And if I want to brush the transition, I'm just going to brush the transition evenly as well. So this transition, I'm just going to brush it evenly like this as well. So actually practice, and I'm actually going to get good at it. Also for this highlight right here on the cheek, I'm just going to brush this highlight right there separately. And also I'll brush this shadow right here separately. Okay, and the transition, I'm just going to brush the transition like this as well. If you're using a mouse, make sure you are clicking as you are painting. Make sure you are clicking as you are painting. But I advise you get a graphic style because it's much more easier and much more faster. But if you're really good at using mouse, that's fine. But I'll suggest or advise you get a graphic style. So with that said, I'll hide this high texture layer again and just pick my mixer brush tool. And like I said, I'm going to brush on this highlight separately like this, just to smooth out the color. Also this shadow area, and just paint on the transition. And please make sure you are increasing and decreasing your brush size according to the parts of the image you are actually working on. So you can see I'm always pressing my square bracket key to increase and decrease my brush size according to where I'm working on at the moment. So I'm going to zoom in inside a little bit. So you can actually zoom in and zoom out if you want. So I'm going to zoom in inside a little bit and just paint on this transition like this. Okay, and please always check your before and after to see what you are doing, if you are doing the right thing or not. So let me just quickly check my before and after and see what I'm doing. All right, so see the before and after. This is the before and the after, the before and the after. Now I feel this place, I'm brushing the shadows or the highlights. So I'm going to pick my eraser tool and just erase it from this particular place. So instead of deleting the whole focus separation, I can just erase that and start from that particular place. Alright, so you can see I've erased that. So I'll pick my mixer brush tool again, hide my high texture layer, and just continue painting on the image. So please take your time when doing this. Always increase and decrease your brush size. Make sure you are brushing your highlights separately, and also make sure you are brushing your shadows separately. Alright, so I'm going to brush this highlight on the nose separately as well, just like that. Okay, and like I said earlier, you don't have to rush this process. Just take your time to do it. Alright, so I'm going to continue brushing on this image. So I'm going to do this thing for the whole of the image, and let's see how it goes. Alright, let's see the before and after. So this is the before and the after, the before and the after. You can see the image is looking smooth, but we still have textures on the image. So the before and the after. And what I can do for me, I can come back to this my high frequency copy right here and just remove any blemishes I'm still seeing on the skin, and just pick my close stamp tool, sample, and just remove any blemishes which I want to remove from here. Alright, so that this works for me. Okay, now let me just show you the before and after focus separation, the before and the after. Now next I'm going to do, I'm just going to make the colors of the skin look even. So I'll come back to my action and click on color correction right here. Once I click on this color correction action, it's just going to load up for me. So from here, I'll come back to my windows, click on properties right here, properties, and just going to open this graded properties. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the graded map right here. I'm just going to show me this graded editor. Now we have three sliders right here, as you can see. So this one right here represents the shadow, this one right here represents the mittens, while this one right here represents the highlights. Alright, now I'm going to click on this one that represents the shadow and just sample any color from the shadow. So I'm going to click on this place right here as the shadow. You can see it has sampled the color right there. Also the midtones, I'm going to click on the midtones and sample anywhere I want the midtones to be. So I want the midtones to be here or here rather. I'm going to sample this place as the midtones. And also for the highlights, click on it and sample this place right here as the highlights and click on OK. Now I'm just going to hide these properties. Now what I'm going to do, with this layer mask selected, pick my normal brush tool, make sure opacity set to 100, flow set to 100, and just paint on the skin just like this. So right now it's not looking really good, but we are going to fix it. So just paint on only the skin of the image. Alright, next thing I'm going to do, with this layer mask selected, I'll come back to my windows again and click on properties and just going to show layer mask properties. I'm going to feather it just to make the edges smooth. Alright, so like this works for me. I'm going to click on OK. From here, I'll change the blend mode from normal to color right here. Alright, so right now you can see the skin two are looking even, but it's a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to double click on this place right here or just right click. I click on blending option. Once this layer style open, just come to your underline layer and just press alternate and split this white part, which is the highlight part, and just move it inside a little bit like this and click on OK. And from here, just reduce the opacity a little bit, just like that. So I think 50 or 49 works for me, or 50. So you can use any radius depending on the image you are working on. So I feel like this works for me. Now I feel the image are looking even. So this is the before and the after. The before and the after. Alright, now before we color-grade this image, let's make the eyes pop by using these three simple steps. Step 1, make the eyes white. Step 2, make the eyes pop. And step 3, making the catch lights more visible. Now if I zoom in, the first time I'm going to do, you can see the veins or the eyes are too much, or the eye vessels, they are too much. So I'm just going to remove them. So to remove them, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a sound visible layer by pressing on Ctrl Shift Alternate E. So after creating a sound visible layer, instead of doing this manually by using the remove tool or the close down tool to sample or just remove it, I'm going to be using the retouch on me to remove it. So I'll come to my filter right here, click on retouch on me, and just click on eye vessel right here. Now this will automatically remove those veins in the eyes for me without me actually doing it manually. This is the before and the after. The before and the after. So the ones that are remaining, I'm just going to use the remove tool to remove them. Alright, I'm going to click on apply right now and just going to apply. Now I want to pick my remove tool and just use the remove tool to remove the ones remaining for these eyes. So my remove tool selected, I'm just going to paint on this place right here. So I'm going to paint on this one just like this, paint on this one right here, and paint on this one right here like this, and just click on OK right here. I'm just going to remove it. So the before and the after. Okay, so you can choose to do this as many times as you want, but like this works for me. Now to make the eyes white, I'm going to come back to my action again, click on eyes edit whitening right here, and this action is just going to open. So with this layer mask selected, pick a normal brush tool, make sure opacity is set to 100, flow is set to 100, and make sure you're using a soft round brush. I just paint on only the white part of the eyes, and make sure you're brushing with a white brush and not a black brush. Alright, because white reveals and black hides. So I'm going to paint on only the white part of the eyes just like this. And if you make a mistake like this, you can just pick a eraser tool and just erase it, or you can switch to a black brush by pressing X on your keyboard and just erase it, and X again to switch to white and just add like that. So like I said, black hide and white reveals. So I'm going to do the same thing for these eyes, just paint on the eyes like this just to make it so like this works for me. So this is the before and the after. Next I'm going to do, I'm going to come to my properties. So instead of coming to Windows, I click on properties again. I already have my properties open right here, so I'm going to click on properties and just go to show. So it's the same thing. You can either click on your properties right here, or you can click on your, or you can come to your Windows, click on properties, and it's always going to open. Same thing. So I'm just going to feather it again. Once I feather it, I'm just going to reduce the opacity because I feel it's looking too white. So I'm going to reduce the opacity to about 60 works for me. So this is the before and the after. The before and the after. Now next I'm going to do, I'm just going to make the catch light of the eyes more visible by using the curves adjustment layer. So I'll come to my adjustment layer. If you can find your adjustment layer right here, come back right here, click on adjustment layer right here, and click on curves adjustment layer. And from here, I'm just going to move this slider up. So if I move it up, I'm going to add brightness. If I take it down, I'm going to make it dark. Since I want to add shine, I'm going to take it up a little bit. Alright. So from here, I'm going to press on Control I to invert this layer mask, or Command I if you're using the Mac. And once I invert it, I'm going to pick my normal brush tool again. With a white brush, I'm just going to reveal that effect. So I'm going to paint it only on the catch lights like this, and paint it only on this other catch lights like this. Alright, so the before and the after. If you feel it's too much, you can just reduce the opacity. Now that's what I'm going to do to make this eye pop even more. I'm going to create a stamp visible layer by pressing Ctrl Shift Alt E. Once I create that stamp visible layer, I'll come back to my action again. Like I said, you really need to get this my action. It's free, don't worry. I believe in the short video. Just download it and I'm really going to like it. So once I click on that action again, I'm going to scroll all the way down and click on Unsharpen Eyes and Lips Mask right here. I'm just going to play that action. All you have to do is paint on the eyes. Don't worry about what is the action. Just paint on the eyes. I'm just going to make it pop just like that. So I'm going to paint on the eyes like this. Paint on the other one like this. And also you can also paint on the lips just to make it pop. Like this works. So this is the before and the after. Let me zoom in so you can actually see it. The before and the after. Just use it. You are really going to like it. I promise you. So I'm going to group everything I did for the eyes so you can see the before and after. So this is before we retouch the eyes, and this is after the eyes retouching. The before and the after. And for me, if you feel it's too much, you can just reduce the overall opacity of the eyes layer. But I'm going to leave it in 100% because 100% works on me for this. So the before and the after. Now to color this image, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add contrast to this image because I feel this image is lacking contrast. So I'll come to my adjustment layer, click on levels adjustment layer. Once I click on levels adjustment layer, I'm going to move these blacks inside a little bit like so, and move these midtones towards the highlight side like this, and move the highlight side inside a little bit like this to add contrast to this image. Alright, so this is the before and the after. The before and the after. Now next thing I'm going to do, looking at this image, I feel the reds are too much. Alright, so I'll come to my adjustment layer again, click on selective color, and I'll come to my red. Since I feel the reds are too much, I'm going to move the reds towards the cyan side a little bit like so. Also come to the blacks and just add more blacks like this. Alright, so that this works for me. Now I'll come back to the yellows. For the yellows, I'm going to add cyans to the yellows like this. Alright, maybe remove a bit of yellows from the yellows. Alright, so I'll take the slider down a little bit like this. Now I'll come back to the reds again and just play with the yellows inside the red and see which one works. So let's see. Okay, I think I'm going to leave the yellows. Let's play with the magenta. I see. I think I'm going to add remove a little bit of magentas from the reds so that this works for me. So this is the before and the after. And what I do for me, after making this basic adjustment, I send the image to my phone and see how it looks. Now once I send this image to my phone and I really don't like the color I'm getting, I'm going to come back again and make another adjustment, send it back to my phone until I get the colors I want. So let's assume I send this image to my phone and I feel the reds are looking a bit too much. What I can do is to come back to my adjustment layer again, come back to my hue and saturation right here. Once I come to my hue and saturation, I'm going to select the reds and just reduce the saturation of the reds a little bit to add that dark feel to the image. So I'm going to take down the saturation of the reds a little bit like this. And this works for me, the before and the after. And what I can do, I can actually add a little bit of brightness to the image if I feel it's looking too dark. So like this works for me. So one more thing I'm going to do, so this one is optional, but I actually did it for this image. I'm just going to blur the edges and just make the focus be on the face. So to do that, I'm going to create a stamp visible layer by pressing Ctrl Shift Alt E. I'll come to my filter, I'll come to blur gallery, and I'll click on Irish blur right here. Now what this does is that you can see, I'm just going to focus this blur on the face. And for me, if I just blur it, if I take the blur the way up, you can see only the face is on focus. So I can choose to expand it like this if I want. So I can just expand it like so. So right now I feel the blur radius is obviously too much. I'm going to take it down a little bit. Let's see. Alright, so I think 15 works for me, or 14. So this is basically what I did. And I'm going to click on OK. So after that, I'm just going to save my image. So this is how I save my image and upload it on Instagram without losing any quality. I'm going to press Ctrl Shift Alt S. And just going to open this Save for Web option. So that's the shortcut. So or what you can do, you can just come to your filter, come to your export, and click on Save for Web Legacy. So it's basically the same thing. I just did a shortcut before. So once that loads, my quality is always on 80 or 75. And my optimize is selected, and also convert to sRGB is selected. So all I have to do from here is just click on save, and this image is just going to save like that. But I have an action which automatically helps me retouch an image, and that action is called retouch for me. So let's say I want to retouch this image, it's just one click. All I have to do, let me just delete everything I did. All I have to do is just duplicate this layer by pressing on Ctrl J, come to my action right here, and click on retouch for me right here. And this plugin, what this plugin does is that it will automatically do my micrododge above for me, remove the blemishes, and basically make this image smooth in just one click, and you're going to see the magic right now. Alright, that has finished loading. So you can see, let me just show you before and after. Just take a look at this image. This is the before and the after. The before and the after. This retouch for me automatically remove the blemishes, as you can see, for the blemishes. And this one is the micro dodge and burn. Alright, and this one is for global dodge and burn. Alright, and this one is for the eye vessels. Take a look at the eyes. Alright, so this is the before and the after. So if you're making money off photography and retouching, I highly recommend you get this retouch from me. And if you use the link in shop, you're going to get 20% off any purchase you make. And if you want to learn more about how this retouch from me actually works, check out this video right here. I'll see you guys in my next one. Stay creative.